All right, let's just jump right in. Imagine a world where your job is optional. A world where money, as we know it, is basically a relic of the past. Now that sounds like something straight out of a sci-fi movie, right? Well, for one of the world's biggest tech leaders, it's not science fiction. He thinks it's our very near future. Today, we're going to break down Elon Musk's wild blueprint for a whole new reality.
So, in a recent interview, Elon Musk dropped this bombshell that kind of stopped everyone in their tracks. He just said, flat out, in the future, working will be optional. I mean, just let that sink in for a second. Seriously, what would you do if you didn't have to work to survive?
So the big question is this just some wild fantasy? Or are we, actually standing on the edge of a massive, massive societal shift? That's what we're going to dig into. We're going to break down Musk's vision piece by piece and try to figure out how a world without mandatory jobs or even money could, how it could actually happen.
Okay, so how do we even get from here to there? Well, it all starts with the first and maybe the most important pillar of Musk's whole idea, the end of work as we know it.
Think about it. Your job becomes a hobby, something you do because you want to, not because you have to pay the bills. That's the future Musk is painting. And get this, he thinks it's way closer than most people realize. He's talking about the next 10 to 20 years. He predicts that AI and robotics are going to get so incredibly productive that we'll all have the freedom to choose how we actually want to spend our days.
And here's the thing that's really striking. Musk isn't alone on this. He's not just some lone voice out there. We're talking about some of the absolute biggest names in tech. Bill Gates, the CEO of Zoom, Jensen Huang from NVIDIA, they're all kind of on the same page, pointing towards this same future. And that's a pretty wild consensus, especially right now when everyone's so worried about AI taking away jobs, right? So, okay, the million-dollar question. How does this actually happen? What's the engine that's going to drive this huge transformation? Well, for Musk, the answer is pretty clear. It's all about the crazy, unstoppable power of AI and robotics. And Musk has a pretty intense way of describing this. He doesn't just see some little wave of change coming. He calls it a supersonic tsunami. And that's such a powerful image, right? It really captures the incredible speed and just the overwhelming force of the change he thinks is about to hit us. We're talking about something so radical, it's going to reshape our entire economic world.
So this supersonic tsunami, it's supposed to kick off this massive chain reaction. It's going to totally change our relationship with everything we buy and use. Step 1. AI and robots start producing a ton of stuff, creating this world of insane abundance. Then, step 2. With so much stuff available, way more than we need, prices just plummet. Everything from food to housing could become unbelievably cheap.
But look, this isn't just about getting cheap stuff. Musk sees this as a way to solve some of our biggest, most tangled economic problems, like the US national debt, which is just staggering. I mean, imagine a world where we are so wildly productive that we can literally just create our way out of a crisis like that. It's a pretty out there idea for sure, but he seems to think it's actually possible.
Okay, but this leads to maybe the most mind-bending part of this whole vision. If everything is super cheap and super abundant, what happens to the one thing that has pretty much driven human society for centuries? What happens to money?
You can think of money as just an information system. It's like a language we use to assign value to human labor. But what happens when most of the labor isn't done by humans anymore, but by AI and robots? Well, that language, that system, it kind of becomes useless. So Musk argues we're going to need a new system, one based on something truly fundamental, something that follows the laws of physics, energy.
And this is a really revolutionary idea. I mean, think about it. Instead of money that's based on trusting a government, we'd have a currency based on the actual laws of physics. Energy, he says, is the true currency because you can't fake it. It's real, it's tangible, and a government can't just decide to print more of it out of thin air.
And of course, this is where something like crypto comes into the picture. Musk sees Bitcoin, with its whole proof-of-work thing that uses a ton of energy, as a really interesting early experiment. It's like a prototype, maybe a first step towards an energy-based currency. It's a peek into a future where the value of money is tied directly to the real-world energy needed to create it.
But, and this is a huge but, this brave new world isn't a guaranteed utopia. Not by a long shot. Like with any tech this powerful, AI comes with massive risks. And Musk himself is very, very aware that without the right guardrails, this whole thing could spin out of control and turn into a total dystopian nightmare. And these risks are absolutely real. I mean, they're kind of terrifying, frankly. Musk has even seen it happen with his own AI, Grok. It's been goaded by people into saying just horrific things, even praising Hitler. And that's a chilling, real-world reminder of the dark side of this tech and why we desperately need to be careful about how we build it.
So how do we do that? How do we build a safe AI and avoid that nightmare scenario? Well, Musk's answer comes down to 3 core principles. He says we need to build AI that is programmed to pursue truth, to appreciate beauty, and to have a fundamental sense of curiosity. The idea is that if you instill these values deep inside the AI, you can guide it toward a future that's not just smart, but wise.
Which brings us to a crucial point. Why? Why even take this risk? Why build a future that is so obviously full of danger? For Musk, the answer isn't really about the material stuff, the abundance. It's about the deep philosophical questions this new reality is going to force all of us to ask.
See, at the end of the day, this whole thing isn't just about creating a world where we can all relax and not work. It's about something much bigger. It's about embarking on this grand quest to understand, well, reality itself. Musk seems to believe that if we can free humanity from the daily grind, we can finally turn our collective brainpower to the biggest questions there are.
And that, right there, is the philosophical endgame he's playing for. It really all comes down to this one final, provocative question for all of us to think about.